Now, if you've ever watched any videos about tanks in the Second World War, I'm sure you'll be aware of stories like 50 Shermans versus 1 Tiger, where the German vehicle manages to defeat all 50 Shermans and still have enough ammo to kill another 50. Since the Second World War, the myth of the Tiger tank has preceded it, but let's get this straight, it was a remarkably good tank. However, there's a myth that it took multiple Shermans to be able to defeat the fabled German military vehicle. In this video, we'll look at this myth, and also consider how many Shermans did it take to kill a Tiger. Remember to support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. Now, the historical rumour is that it took 5 Sherman tanks to knock out 1 Tiger. However, what's the origin of this? Well, if you look at films such as Fury, you'll see the Tiger tank decimating lots of Shermans with ease. However, if you look at the facts, you'll see why the Tiger was considered much more effective. The German 88mm gun fitted to the Tiger was one of the reasons it was considered a formidable foe. This could penetrate even the thickest of armour on the Sherman at a range of over 1,000 yards, and could penetrate the side armour at over 1,500 yards. The early Sherman 75mm medium velocity gun would fare very differently. It could only kill a Tiger if it got close and fired into the side or the rear of the vehicle. It fared rather well against the Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs in North Africa, and could penetrate the frontal armour of these tanks at ranges within 1,000 yards. However, when it came to the Tiger, it would struggle. Because of this, a new gun was devised for the Sherman. This would be the seemingly stronger 76mm gun, which was able to destroy both the armour of a Tiger and a Panther after testing. It would later be ruled that these tests were inaccurate. Eisenhower himself said that he was wrongly told by ordnance that the 76mm gun could knock out any German tank. Because of these issues with the gun, it's possible that a Tiger could even keep its distance and in a sense pick off a number of Sherman tanks, purely as the Shermans fitted with the 75mm and 76mm guns wouldn't be able to do any damage. One thing to consider, however, is the fact that there were fewer reports of US forces engaging Tiger 1s than other Allied forces. There are a number of recorded cases though of the earlier M4 Sherman fitted with the 75mm gun being able to knock out a Tiger. Usually if the Tiger didn't manage to spot a Sherman, this handed the advantage to the US or the British forces. During one episode, 5 Shermans engaged 1 Tiger and 2 Panzer IVs at a range of around 900 metres, and the German vehicles didn't seem to spot them, with the German tanks then being knocked out. The overwhelming thought though is that it would be suicidal for a 75mm Sherman to go up against the Tiger in one-on-one combat, but the odds could change if the Germans were attacking through different terrain. If they were attacking through heavy woodland terrain, like in the Ardennes, or even in areas like Normandy that had heavily vegetated terrain, the Sherman, if well camouflaged, could sneak up behind it and put a round in the rear of the Tiger. Several Tigers were lost to Shermans in ambushes such as this, so in theory it could just take 1 Sherman to knock out a Tiger, but it is mostly established that the Tiger was a much more superior tank. Things did change though. During the Second World War, the British Army made extensive use of the Sherman tank. I'm sure you've heard of the famous story of German Panzer Ace Michael Wittmann with his endless amount of tank kills. However, he did meet his match in the form of a British Sherman Firefly. Now, the Firefly was the weapon that was capable of destroying a Tiger. 1 Firefly could go up against a Tiger and it would fare remarkably well. It was fitted with a quick-firing 17-pounder gun that was capable of penetrating the Panther and also the Tiger tank's armour. Because of this, German tanks and anti-tank crews were instructed to take out Fireflies first and with maximum efficiency before it could cause damage to the German vehicles. The Firefly was tested by the British War Department, and it was shown that at a distance of 1,000 yards it could penetrate 107mm of armour, and at 1,500 yards 96mm. This was enough to have penetrated the frontal hull armour at 1,000 yards and completely wrecked the 60mm thick hull side plates of a Tiger. One key thing about the gun though is that when you see a Firefly, you'll notice that its barrel is huge, to the point where Allied tank crews had to try and cover it up and camouflage it. The Firefly was deployed on the battlefields in 1944 and was specifically used effectively in the Normandy campaign. However, once again, it's important to consider that the use of the Tigers and Panthers accounted for only 30% of German tanks deployed in Normandy, so it was rare for a Firefly to meet a Tiger. The other tanks deployed such as the Panzer IV or the Stug III, were able to be dealt with by the 75mm Shermans mentioned before. So in conclusion, the answer is a little confusing. Now if we look at the issue of how many Sherman tanks it would take to knock out a Tiger, it really depended on the variant of the Sherman tank. Earlier models that were fitted with the 75mm gun would have struggled, or would have to rely on their mobility and a number of other factors such as the accuracy of the shot and the skill of the crew in order to inflict a significant amount of damage onto the Tiger. The fact that the Shermans are seen as OK tanks that were mass produced on a huge scale has helped perpetuate the rumour that it took 5 Shermans to knock out a Tiger. And the greatest strength of the Sherman really is the speed in which it was made and the sheer number that could end up on a battlefield quickly. It seems that those Tigers that had luck knocking out many Shermans were helped by poorly trained crews. Things improved with the use of the 76mm gun on board, however they still weren't great in terms of inflicting huge amounts of damage onto a Tiger. However, with the Sherman Firefly and its colossal 17-pounder gun, things changed, to the point where the mobile Sherman could now inflict huge damage at a huge distance onto a Tiger. The problem though is, can we class the Sherman Firefly in the same category as a normal Sherman tank? Well, probably not, due to the fact its class is a tank hunter or destroyer rather than the standard medium tank that the M4 was. So when we're answering the question, how many Shermans did it take to knock out a Tiger, we're going to say, well, probably one. It only takes one shot of immense skill and precision in the weak spot for the earliest Shermans to knock out the tank, and this did happen, however it was extremely rare. But it would only really take one shot from a Firefly to knock out the infamous and notorious Tiger. Once again, thanks for watching. We hope you've enjoyed this video. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. Once again, thank you for watching.